Omdahl Show. This is episode 1085, and we are here live in Southwest Florida in my studio, in my RV, with my sweet baby kitty, baby Bjorn. Do you want to say hi to everybody? Not yet. That's fine. Bjorn does things in his own time. If you're joining me live, please say hello. Let me know if you're crafting this morning. Let me know if you have questions for me. Whatever. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. Maybe you have exciting plans for the weekend and you'd like to share them with all of us. Maybe you have crafting plans this weekend. Maybe you have intentions to do some self-care this weekend. I know I would love to hear what your plans are. Maybe it will inspire me to do some self-care, and that's the whole point of me encouraging everybody to share their ideas and what they're doing here, whether it's your crafting goals, crafting plans, what you're working on, because every time we share with like-minded positive people, we inspire each other to do even more things than we already do, or very different types of things that we're already doing. So I do love the whole collective sharing aspect of the show where we get to inspire each other. Let's see who's here. Hi Diane, hi Val, Judy and Sharon, Judy, Joanne, Diane, Sharon, Joe. Good morning everybody. Happy Friday and welcome back to the Kristin Omdahl Show, episode 1085. You know, no big whoop. Hi Jane and Rita. Good morning everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. I do want to continue from where we left off yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to watch yesterday's episode, I highly recommend it. We took a really deep dive into Crochet Power so that you can see how much value this book holds and how many different ways you can use it. There are some things that are really obvious and at face value, but I feel like the information that I shared yesterday really took a deeper dive than maybe what you may have thought you can get out of this book, the benefits. Hi Karen and Joe, let's see, Sharon, Wendy. Hi Nora. Nora's making her meadow poncho. That's such a pretty piece. That's nice. Good for you. Did you do it in one color or two colors? Hi Valerie and Sharon. I made my meadow poncho, the original sample, in two colors, but I totally think it would be beautiful in one color too. And what a good reason to make something more than once, right? Thank you, Judy. Yes, so most of the edits have come back. First round of editing has come back to me for Crochet Power Edging book, which is book 22 that's in process. It will be the second book in the Crochet Power series, and which means this weekend I will start going over the edits and deciding what works and what doesn't, what needs to be fixed, and should be through the majority of the edging of the book. Not everything's been brought back yet, but most have been brought back, so I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. I'd kind of like to wait until all of the edits have come back so I can do it all at once, but it is such a big job that it's probably more than a day's worth of work anyway, so who cares? I could just get started on it. Hi Angela and Sherry and Sharon. Good morning everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're having a great day so far. Before we get started, I did want to show you an Amazon find. So if anybody's looking for new, like, just putz around sneakers, they're not expensive. I think I spent like $20 on them. Look at these shoes I got on Amazon that are lace. Like lace sneakers, like, oh my gosh, aren't they the cutest sneakers? I have this thing where I really like the idea of wearing sneakers with dresses right now. I want to get away from flip-flops, like I've said in the last couple of weeks. I want to get away from flip-flops right now because, you know, they're kind of unsanitary. I think they're dangerous with my current lifestyle, and so I've been trying to find a couple of like super affordable pairs of tennis shoes. Tennis shoes can get really expensive, and it's just not in my budget right now. So I've been looking. So I showed you a pair the other day that were just totally slip-on. These ones tie but when I saw that they were made out of lace and they're see-through. So I don't wear sneakers without socks, but if you did, I guess you would see that. Or you could wear contrast color socks and you would see that lace a little bit better. But I wear white no-seam socks. I like to wear my socks below my sneakers so that they look like they, I have a pair in here. If I don't wear my shoes for very long, I hang on to the socks. See, I wear that kind of a sock, so when I put them on, you don't see them. But I thought my lace lovers might be excited to see my find. I think they're just adorable. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. That's my newest Amazon find that I absolutely love. Yeah, they're $21.99. I was like, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. And fall's coming, and like I said, I feel like I really need to transition out of flip-flops, except for like house shoes and slippers sort of thing. I think it's safer in my current lifestyle, especially with going up and down the steep stairs all the time, being outside so much with all the critters. So anyway, that's my new find. And it matches my top too, because you know how much I love lace, whether I make it or buy it in the store. Like lace is one of my loves. Oh, speaking of which, lace earrings, of course. So I'm wearing the Kelly earrings. You can make these. These are inspired by embroidery hoops, actually. So I made a little crochet motif and threaded it onto a hoop earring. Super easy to do. Honestly, we've been talking about craft fair bundles this week, and if anybody's interested, today is the last day to, let me see, I'll get the link here real quick. Today's the last day to get that craft fair bundle that I've been promoting this week. I participated in this, let's see, let me find it before. So if anybody's looking to do any craft fair projects this fall, I thought you might be interested in this craft fair bundle. It gives you 41 different patterns that are designed to be good ideas for selling, which means like low labor, all that good stuff, and things that are, a little unusual compared to the things that you normally find in craft fairs. And it also comes with some downloadables that teach you some strategies and some business strategies for when selling handmade. So you might be interested in that. It's 90% off, so if you, and there's prizes as well, so if you want to follow that link, you can learn more about that. Martha bought the craft fair bundle. Wonderful, good for you. A lot of people have been really happy with it. Sharon did too. Cool, wonderful. You'll have to let me know what you make. And which brings me to another point. I know we're going off subject here, but this is important. Craft fairs are upon us, right? Fall is upon us. If you are going to make items that you're selling at craft fairs with my patterns, please let me know. I am more than happy to use my platform to help you get the word out that you are selling things made with my designs. Sometimes people love my designs, but they may or may not be outside of their skill set, may or may not be something that they want to make, but maybe they love. You never know. Someone may want to buy it because they love that design and are familiar with that design through my platform. So I am more than happy to help people when I can and when it feels appropriate to me. And that's one time that I do feel it's appropriate that I can use my platform to help others. So if you're making things at craft fairs and using my designs, let me know and I'll help you promote it. Sounds like a good deal, right? Let's see. Anyway, Karen is asking, can she use a G6 hook with number 2 sport weight cotton? You can use any hook size with any weight yarn. You have to decide, and this is up to you, based on your tension and the gauge you achieve with that, is that going to work for your project? It goes back to the saying that I like to share a lot. There's no wrong way to be creative as long as you're getting the results that you want. You can use any size crochet hook if you're getting the results you want. We all have different tensions, different fibers, different weights of yarn, and we're all making different projects. It depends on the gauge. Are you following a pattern? Are you getting the gauge that you want for the pattern? Are you making something on your own? Are you getting the gauge you want? Are you getting the drape that you want? Have you measured it after washing and blocking it so that you know how the fibers are going to react to water? Are you still getting the gauge you want? Are you still getting the drape you want? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. I cannot actually answer what size hook should you use for any given project or any given yarn. All I can do is give you a suggestion. I can give you a range. I can share with, like the yarn label does. I can tell you what I used, but my personal tension may or may not be similar or very different from yours. I know, Judy, I'm going to use you as an example. Judy Weingarten and I have extremely different personal tensions. When I make something in a certain hook, she'll probably, Judy, how many hook sizes do we vary? Sometimes we vary by like 3 sizes. And whatever I use, she uses something different. She crochets, you crochet looser or tighter than me? Now I've got it backwards in my head. Judy uses a hook size 2 sizes different from I do. So, and that doesn't mean that either one of us is better or worse than the other. There's no wrong way to be creative as long as you're getting the results that you want. That's it. That's it. And so it's kind of liberating and on one hand, and I get that it's a little intimidating on the other hand, but it's a process of experimentation. That's it. And the more experience you have in it, the more you'll understand where you fall in that suggested range. So like when you follow a certain designer, you know that you're probably going to use the same size hook that they use if you've made a lot of their designs. And if you're new, or you may know that you don't use the same size hook. But that only comes with experience from working with that designer over multiple projects, or using the same yarn over multiple projects. You'll know what works for you in time. Until then, you use the ball band, the yarn label band on the ball of yarn, and it'll show you a suggested hook size or a suggested range. This applies to knitting needles as well. Same thing applies here. And it's really just about figuring out what works for you. Like if you didn't have a suggestion, you wouldn't know if you should use a 1 millimeter or 10 millimeter. So knowing where to kind of start is helpful, but you really need to figure it out for yourself, which again, it's liberating. I know it may seem overwhelming at times, but it ends up being liberating. What's a good crochet hook brand? Whatever works for you. Again, there are different types of crochet hooks that some people love and other people don't. Some people like metal, some people like plastic, some people like bamboo or wood. Some people only like ergonomic handles. It depends on what works best for you. So again, it can be overwhelming, but it can also be liberating. And you'll find out over experience and time what works best for you. Hi, Naomi. Good morning. All right. Great questions, though, because it really is important to remind people that it is okay to do something different than the pattern calls for. The pattern, that beginning information in the pattern is a suggestion. It's a suggestion for getting started. Okay, and then into knitting needles. Do you like blunt tip? Do you like sharp tip? Do you like circulars? Do you like straights? Do you like metal, plastic, wood, bamboo? And then which brands do you like better? What brands do things differently that you like? Like you got to figure out what works best for you, certainly. And that's good. Experience and time will determine your preferences. Absolutely. Yes, and if you don't like what you're using, try something else. Absolutely. 100%. Okay, so did anybody here today watch yesterday's episode where we took a deep dive into Crochet Power? I want to see if anybody gleaned any more information from the book that maybe they didn't understand from their first glance or first use of the book, or from just seeing it on my website or on Amazon. I want to know if you can give me any feedback from what I shared yesterday. Let me know. Do you have any questions from what I said? Because I did share a lot, and I would really like to answer questions before we take another deep dive into applying what we learned yesterday. Because I know it was a lot of information, and I don't even know if everybody here today watched yesterday. So let's start there. Oh, we can move the shoe too. Didn't mean to put a shoe on the table. I just wanted to show you the lace. And how cute. I mean, for my outfit today, how stinking cute is it going to be to wear a white lace top with white lace sneakers? Oh, I'm wearing, and, you know, wearing distressed jeans, so, you know, kind of lacy as well. Got a whole lace vibe going on today. Suppose my braids kind of go with that too. Anyway, I want to see if there's any questions about yesterday. Great. I'm so glad that it's helpful, Kat, because I do feel like I put a lot more into this book than you may think I did at first glance. Thanks, Joe. Now, if only if I was going anywhere. I don't think I'm going anywhere. Am I going to the grocery store even? I'm going to the post office today, so yeah. Joe, you can find these jeans in my Amazon shop. They are my favorite jeans. I had them in an extra large when I was larger, and I ended up having to buy a large after I lost some weight. I'm still in the large now though, but they're super stretchy, super stretchy. I think they actually work for people that yo-yo diet because of that. Let me see if I can find them, because they are absolutely my favorite jeans, and they're not expensive, which you know I do everything on a budget lately, everything on an extreme budget lately. Let's see if I can find them, because oh my gosh, they are my favorite. Oh, they're 24% off today. Is that what it said? I think it said they were 24% off today. Yeah, they're $30. They're so awesome, so comfy. Oh, Judy, you beat me to it. Thanks, Judy. I love them. They come in other colors too. I'm going to stand up because they really are worth a quick chat. So they're regular jeans, like they button up with the zipper, but they're so stretchy. They have a ton of stretch in them, even if they are. Oh, there's my bedroom. Let's move that. Let's see if I can move this further enough down so you can see all of it. Now they're extremely distressed. Can you see how much distressing there is? And I fold them up a little bit, but you can leave them down, and they have a frayed edge there too, which is cool. I've had these jeans for, I don't know, maybe a year, but I love them. And it's distressed in the back too. This distressing is just on the pockets. The back of the jeans themselves have no distressing. The distressing is only on the front. But it's super cute, and they are extremely stretchy. And the one thing that I really love about stretchy jeans is that I like to wear them more than once before I wash them, and they don't get they don't stretch out when you wear them. Do you know what I mean? So how they look today is how they would look if I wore them again tomorrow. They don't get relaxed over wearing them a couple of days. They hold their shape because of all the stretch. So they hold themselves well with the stretch, and they don't lose their stretch when you wear them a couple times. So that's the gist of it. Okay. All right. Joanne, if you didn't watch yesterday's episode, yes, I highly recommend watching yesterday's episode. And oh my goodness, we're going to have to move Bjorn to go further into our deep dive into the book today. Baby Bjorn, sweetheart, sweetheart. Can you sit somewhere else for a little while? Can you sit somewhere else? You want to just sit here by the window? I got to get into this bin, sugar. What's up, baby? Oh, baby, you just come here and give Mama a kiss. Oh. Oh, is that the baby? Oh, is that the baby? Thank you, Joanne. They're size large. I'm 5'9", 180, 185 pounds, somewhere in that range, and I'm wearing a size large. And there's a lot of give in them, so I mean, I think I could be 175 pounds and they'd still fit. I think I could be 190 and they'd still fit. They're kind of they have enough stretch that you could actually, there's a range to it. I would really love to see myself need a medium down the road, but not putting any pressure on myself to lose weight right now. Yes, I'd love to, but I got enough on my plate right now. Oh, it's a baby. Oh, it's a baby. Thank you, Diane. I'm so glad you thought so. So let's do, okay, while I'm holding Bjorn, we'll do a recap on what we talked about yesterday. So we talked about not only do you get each stitch pattern in the 4 construction styles, but you also get the multiple information. How many, if you're going to make anything wider, how many extra chains you would need to start, or how many stitches you would need to start, and then the row multiple or the round multiple, so that you could continue on in the pattern to make anything as long as you want. And then in the front of the book, I talk at detailed length how to read a pattern, understanding what an asterisk means, what the parentheses mean, what the brackets mean, how to read a chart, which direction to read a chart, and what the different things mean in the chart. Talked about gauge and blocking and so many other weaving in ends. And I have so many incredibly helpful and informative charts that show you, you know, what weight yarn you can get when you double yarn, what dimensions you would need for a hat, yarn estimates for making various projects in different weights of yarn, so that you can have a good estimate for how much yarn to buy. So basically, this isn't a pattern book. It's a book for helping to empower your creative spirit to explore being creative on your own without patterns. So having that yarn estimate ends up being really, really helpful to figure out how much yarn you would need to make a project without a pattern written that tells you how much yarn someone else used with making that pattern. So all of that's super important. But then there's also a section that tells you, okay, so let's say you want to make a scarf for a 6-year-old, or you want to make an Afghan for a king size bed. Okay, you know your yardage, you know which stitch pattern you want. Now what? Right? Now what? So let's say, so that's where I wanted to continue on today. I wanted to randomly pick some projects from, he's going to go back on it. All right, I'm going to have to sneak in and grab some baggies and then give you the bin back. So in the bin, organized in bags, of course, to be ultra organized, are all the swatches from the book. And I wanted to pull some out. Sweet baby Bjorn, give me 1 minute here, honey. Let me open this up. I'll grab something out of there, and then you can have it right back, okay? I'm gonna grab just a couple random, let's see, I don't even know what I'm grabbing. Just grab a couple, I don't even know, grab something. Okay, you can have it back. All right, your turn. Yeah, now he's probably like, forget it, lady. You're so annoying. Now he wants it back. Okay. Martha likes the peach protein drink that I'm drinking too. Wonderful. Thanks, Suzanne. Martha, it's an act of patience. If you've been crocheting for over 40 years and you still have trouble weaving in ends without them coming out over time, weave in for longer. That's all I can say. If your ends are coming out over time, how long are the ends that you're weaving in? Are you weaving in this much? Are you weaving in this much? The more you weave in the more directions you weave them, the better chance you have of them not coming back out. It is a direct correlation with how much you do for how long they stay woven in. So you'll have to ask yourself. You don't have to answer me. You have to just ask yourself, how long are those ends? How long do I weave them in when they're coming back out? Are you just crocheting over them? Are you weaving in at least 3 directions? Are you doing at least 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches? That's not 6 inches, you know what I mean. But these are the questions you need to ask yourself, because clearly if your ends are coming out, you didn't do enough. Now, are you doing enough based on my guidelines? My guidelines are just suggestions. You have to ask yourself, how much did I do? And however much you did, if they're coming out, you need to do more next time. It's simple as that, right? Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Yeah, thinner yarns can be more difficult. I agree. I mean, and it depends on what you're making. If you're making lace, a little harder to weave them in. Yeah, you don't wake a sleeping baby, right? Well, I feel like that applies to everything with a cat. The cat looks comfy. You don't want to move him. Oh, I think that I think as someone who's super nurturing just by, I'm just very nurturing by naturally, and so having, oh, I don't want to do that one. Of course, the one that I wanted to do, oh, Bjorn hates it when the AC comes on. He goes, that is very loud and annoying. However, you wouldn't like it if it didn't come on either, buddy. I'm just going to tell you that right now. All right, let's see. This one will work. All right, let's see. This is either, this is either Bailey or Elsa, and I get them mixed up in my head sometimes. So let me look this up really quickly. I believe this is Elsa, but let me double check. Yes, this is Elsa. Okay, so the swatches I'm going to show you are of Elsa, which starts on page 50. Here it is worked even in rows. Here it is worked even in rounds. Here it is worked increase in rows, and here it is worked increase in rounds. So notice that there are the charts, the written instructions, the multiples for the stitches, and the multiples for the rows to tell you how to make this large. Now, what does that mean? And that's where I wanted to pick up where we left off yesterday. So let's pick a random project in those suggested dimensions, and I'll remind you what that means in a second too. So how to use this book starts on page 17, and in this section it describes to you what each section is. What does even in rows mean? What does even in rounds mean? What does increase in rows mean? And what does increase in rounds mean? And then here are some standard sizes for scarves, afghans, dishcloths, and so much more, so that you can have a guideline for making whatever you want to make in these 4 construction styles, okay? And we went over all this yesterday, so if you don't know what I mean, highly recommend going back and watching yesterday's episode. But let's pick, so let's look, here is even in rows, okay? Even in rows. Here, I'm going to try to hold my page here. Here's even in rows. So what should we make? Let's go to the even in rows section. In there we can get scarf dimensions, we can get rectangular stole dimensions, we can get Afghan dimensions. What would you like me to, let's pick it together. I'll go with the first recommendation that someone makes. What would you like to see me work up the math for? Okay, so so let's see, we'll go back there and I'll say, so working even in rows, we could look up blanket sizes, kitchen stuff, scarves, or rectangular stoles and a scarf. Kathy says let's look up a scarf. Okay, so let's look up a scarf. We could look up for a scarf for any number of kid sizes, 3 to 5 years old, 6 to 8 years old, 9 to 11, preteen, small woman, medium woman, large woman, small man, medium man, and large man. Let's go with just, let's go with 8 inches wide. And let's go with large woman, 69 inches long. Okay, so let's figure out how many stitches we need how many chains we need to do this stitch pattern 8 inches wide, and how many rows we need to do it 69 inches long with the gauge that I have for the stitch pattern. Now, all of these swatches are blocked already, so I know that this is an accurate depiction of me crocheting in this stitch pattern to make a garment that I would wear and wash and rewear. So let's get our gauge here. Let's figure out how many stitches we have here. And let's see, we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 30. We have 30 stitches wide. So 30 stitches wide is roughly 8.5 inches long. Oh, well, that's going to be real easy because we want a scarf that's 8 inches wide. Let's do it that way. I don't know, can you even see what I'm doing here? Let's go over here. So I'm going to look here and measure 8 inches wide on here. 8 inches wide is roughly 27 inches. the scarf itself is 8.5, or the swatch itself is 8.5 at 30 inches. But let's say that we're going to, let's say we're going to do the math instead, though. This would be an easy one to do since we're looking for 8 inches wide, but let's do the math. So it's 8.5 inches, so 30 stitches. I'm going to do this on a big page so that I can show it to you. So if we're doing 30, my swatch is 30 stitches, and it's 8.5 inches wide. We want to figure out how many stitches per inch, okay? So I'm going to go on my calculator, and I'm going to do 30, because this is 30, my swatch is 30 stitches wide, divided by 8.5 inches. We're getting roughly 3.5 stitches to the inch. We're getting roughly 3.5 stitches to the inch. We're going to do the scarf and we're going to do an afghan so that you can see where how this changes. Okay, so if we want a scarf that is 8 inches wide, so if we want a scarf that's 8 inches wide, we're going to multiply by 3.5 stitches to the inch. Okay, 8 inches wide times 3.5 stitches to the inch. Let's do that. 8 times 3.5. We're going to need 28 stitches. Okay, this stitch pattern is a multiple of 3, so at that point you would either round down to 27 or round up to 30. Let's do this for one of the afghan sizes too, so because this is so close to the swatch, I want you to see. Oh, well, actually, we'll just go to a rectangular wrap. A large rectangular wrap would be 36 inches wide by 72 inches long, so let's do it for that also. So 36 inches times 72. Okay, so let's say we want it to be 36 inches wide by 72 inches long. Well, let's measure the row gauge as well then real quick. So, and then we can do all of the same math at the same time. So if this is, it's 5.5 inches tall with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows. What'd I say? 5.5 to 11? Okay, so let's go back to that page then. So if we want to figure out 11 rows divided by 5.5 inches, 11 rows divided by 5.5 inches is going to give us, we get 2 rows equals 1 inch. 2 rows equals 1 inch. So we've got, okay, so we want to make a rectangular afghan that's 36 inches wide by 72 inches long, and our gauge is 3.5 stitches to the 1 inch, and our stitch, and 2 rows equals 1 inch. Okay, so our gauge is 3.5 stitches for 1 inch and 2 rows to 1 inch. So if we want to do 36 inches wide, we're going to do 36 inches times 3.5 stitches to the inch. Okay, 36 times 3.5, that's 126 stitches. And then if we want 72 inches long times 2 rows per inch, okay, so to get a rectangular wrap with a gauge of 3.5 stitches to 1 inch and 2 rows to 1 inch, to get a 36 inch wide wrap by 72 inch long wrap, we would do 36 times 3.5 to get 126 stitches, and we would do 72 times 2 to get 144 rows. Now let's go back to our stitch pattern and see if those multiples work out okay. Someone wanted to see the book again. This is the book we're talking about, Crochet Power. So let's go back to Elsa now. Okay, our stitch pattern has a multiple of 3 stitches plus 1, and it's a one row repeat. Okay, great. So we need 3 stitches plus 1 to do our starting chain. So we're going to need to figure out if 126 works out to be that, and if not, we'll go up or down to make it right. And it's a 1 row repeat, so we don't have to worry about doing any more or less. 144 rows will work out perfectly fine. So let's figure out now if 126 is a multiple of 3. Ah, okay. So what I did was I divided, so we needed 126 stitches, and our multiple is 3 plus 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide it by 3 and see how close we are to it being a multiple of 3. And then keeping in mind we're still going to need a plus 1. So when I divide 126 by 3, I happen to get an even multiple. 126 divided by 3 is 42 repeats of the pattern. Fine. Okay, so that's great. So now I'm just going to add a plus 1. So 126 plus 1 equals 127. So our starting chain will be 127. Our starting chain will be 127. Then we'll go back to the pattern and follow the pattern. And the pattern is written for a multiple, right? It's going to say do the stitch pattern from the asterisk to the end, then tell you whatever you do extra for the plus 1, right? So whether you do it with 30, whatever this was, 31 chains, whether you do 31 chains to get this size, 8.5 inches, or you do 127 stitches to get 36 inches wide, the pattern is going to be written and read the same way. So let's go to the pattern now. It doesn't matter how big or small you make it. The pattern is written for a multiple. So it'll say on here, so I'm just going to, so like for that swatch, it was chain 34 to make it that 8.5 inches wide. Chain 3 counts as the first double, 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from your hook, asterisk, skip 2 chains, 3 double crochet in the next chain. Repeat from asterisk across and turn. Well, that's not written for 34 chains. That's actually written for any number of chains. So you could just, if you did the 126, 127 chains, it would be chain 127, then chain 3 counts as your first double, 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from your hook, asterisk, skip 2 chains, 3 double crochets in the next, repeat from asterisk across and turn. Same thing. The pattern is always written so that it does not matter what the starting chain is, you follow the repeat across. Whether it has a perfect repeat or a plus 1, you do it all the way across. This is a 1 row repeat, so in that pattern it tells you how to work row 2 into stitches, not into chains, and then it tells you to repeat row 2 for your desired length. We know our desired length is 72 inches. We know our row gauge is 2 rows to an inch, so we know we need to repeat it till we get to 144 rows. Okay. Who has questions? I know it comes across pretty techy, but it really isn't. And any of those, and I know I go quickly, we could definitely slow this down in, other ways. Is this kind of information something you would like to see in classes? Part of me visualizes doing a class like this in each of the stitch patterns and doing a deep dive. Let's randomly pick a project in even in rows, in even in rounds, in increase in rows, and in increase in rounds, and let's do the math and figure it out based on our gauge. If that's something you would like to see me set up as, more detailed deep dive classes on my website, let me know, because let me know if even just hearing the information here was helpful. Like, was this enough for you to understand? Do you want a deeper dive into it? What would you like? What would help you? I want you to get the most value out of this information. So what will it take for us to do that? Which part, Angela? I said a whole bunch of stuff. So Joe agrees it would make a great class. Thank you. Personally, I think it might be helpful to see this with each of the stitch patterns because they have different multiples, because they have different row multiples and different stitch multiples. I think and I can't do it for 100 projects, right? So we'd have to either randomly pick a scarf for even in rows, pick an Afghan in increase in rounds, pick a shawl for this, and maybe pick a cowl for this, and then pick a scarf for this, but sorry, a rectangular stole. I think if we randomly picked a project for each of these, I think showing you how to actually apply your gauge and your stitch pattern to a project and doing the math to calculate all this out, I think it might be a helpful class. Now, here's my next question. If I'm going to do that as a class, which would roughly be an hour or so, maybe longer, would you want me to do a tutorial on each of these in the chart, in the ropes, and in the actual stitching, as well as then doing all of that? Because that's kind of what I thought, to make it a really meaty class. I thought I would do a tutorial for each of the 4 constructions, then do a tutorial on doing your gauge, measuring your gauge swatch, figuring out what your gauge was math-wise, and then randomly picking one of those projects for each construction style, and then doing the math to figure out how many stitches to start and how many rows to complete. Once you get it, I think that you'll be off running to be able to make so many different things with the book. But I realize, I have a feeling that it might be a leap to go from just understanding the concept of the book to actually applying it. So I'm seeing a lot of yeses. So yeah, that's what I thought. And I bought a bunch of yarn to do these classes. Do you want me to go grab the box? Should we do an unboxing? Oh, I think we already did. Didn't I show you my Knit Picks yarn? Did I show you when I bought Knit Picks yarn a while back? I found a yarn on Knit Picks that I thought would be really great for the classes, because I was trying to find something with, you know, really separate colors so that we could still color code each of the 4 construction styles. Oh, Angela, I'm so glad that this will help you for teaching your granddaughters. You're not the first person to say that. Since I've started making classes on my website, I've had several people tell me that they really like my classes for teaching the next generation in, yeah, it's a great question too, Judy. Who feels that the book is sufficient standalone without classes? Does anybody understand all of this concept as is right now? But on the other subject I was mentioning is that I've heard from a lot of people that they really like my classes as a way to teach the next generation in their family how to be crafters, and that's a blessing to me. That I feel so flattered to know that I'm helping other families continue the crafting generation through my classes and through my videos and patterns and everything else. But I feel like videos and patterns are really not the first step. I think that classes sometimes are the first step, and then once you get that general knowledge from a class, or that beginner knowledge, then you can take that leap forward to the patterns and everything else. Thanks, Carmen. Yeah, I think it's amazing, Martha. All right, so yeah, I'm very curious to know who feels confident just from this conversation alone to know that they can do all of this deep dive on their own from the book. Who thinks that the book is standalone, perfect for them right now without classes? And isn't it great that we all have different levels of, different ways of learning and different ways of picking things up? I think it's great that some people will be happy as is, some people want stuff like what we talked about today, and some people will want classes. And as a teacher, I just think it's so wonderful. It keeps me on my toes that people learn differently too. It's really fun for me to figure out all the different ways to be an effective teacher by how people learn in different ways. I love it. All right, and so I haven't seen any questions about that, so maybe everybody needs a class. I don't know. Maybe it's a lot. But isn't it great to know that there's that much more in the book? Like, once you learn more, the book becomes more valuable to you. So you can actually enjoy the book as is now at face value, but I think it's really exciting that as you learn more, you can get that much more value of the book too. I think that's also very cool. Yeah, Sharon, absolutely. Try to learn it on your own. That's what I did this tutorial for today. I want to see if a little bit of guidance is enough for some people too. Yeah, for some people, I think that classes will really take the book to a whole different level. Oh, baby Bjorn is like, yes, we're done opening the bin. Angela, it is fun to have someone walk you through things. I know. I don't know why, but sometimes it's scary learning new things, you know? Sometimes it is scary learning new things, and sometimes it does feel better to have someone hold your hand through learning new things. I get that, but I certainly wrote the book with the intention of people being able to use it on its own. Great point, Judy. Absolutely. I really feel like I wrote it and explained everything in the front matter, but it depends on your skill level whether you get all the value out of it. So, and everybody's skill levels are different. Everybody learns differently. I get that. Which brings me to another point. I really would like to do more videos and classes on learning how to read patterns. I'm finding that so many people just don't understand how to read a pattern. And again, it's a lot easier than you think, and we all get scared when we're trying to learn something new. I get it. All right, does anybody have any questions? We went way over today. I feel like in the later time, I feel like we keep going later. Anyway, I don't know. Been great questions though. I appreciate all the feedback. It's so important to me. It's so important to all of us collectively. The more we have conversation about what I teach, the more it helps everybody. So thank you all so much for your feedback. Honestly, if I just wanted to talk and teach, I wouldn't do this live. I do it live so that we can collectively, so we can collectively discuss the subject that I'm teaching, and that we can make sure that everybody is on board and everybody understands, because it's with questions, I'm able to discuss things in further detail, or maybe in a different point of view than I originally started talking about it. So I appreciate your feedback so much. Always feel welcome to ask your questions here. It is a safe place. It is. We have so many moderators here. We have cultivated such a beautiful community here. If you're new and you haven't felt welcome saying hello yet, that's okay. We're happy you're here too. If you're brand new and you haven't subscribed to my channel, but you like the vibe here, you like joining the live streams, you like watching my tutorials, click that subscribe button. We'd love to see you come back. Bjorn would too. I know he would. And if you like this particular video, give it a thumbs up. I know YouTube likes to know your feedback on any given channel, including mine. And if you decide later today that you have further questions from what we talked about today, always feel welcome to come back and leave a comment in the recorded version of this video. It's a live stream now, but as soon as we're done, it becomes a recorded video on YouTube that's there forever. So you can watch it over and over again if you need to. And if you have questions later on, leave them in the comments. I get notified all day, and if you go and watch on any video and you look at the comments, you can often find really great questions that are always answered by me, because I get notifications from throughout the day, and I answer them all day long. What else? What else? Yeah, ask. I'm here to teach. I'm here to inspire. I'm here to help you on your crafting journey and to promote positivity, creativity, and certainly motivation too. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Let's all try to make a little bit of time for self-care this weekend. I'll try to. And we can check back on Monday and see who did what and inspire each other for the next time. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.